Broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, this is 5x3 Radio, where strength is for everyone. I'm your host, Emily Sokolinski, owner of 5x3 Training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore, along with my co-host, Rebecca Fishburne, founder of Cornerstone Strength Maryland. Each week, Rebecca and I will discuss the ins and outs of strength training, why there is a no one-size-fits-all approach, and why strength is so important in our daily lives. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now, on with the show. Well, this one, Diego said to me the other day, he goes, people are going to ask you, Ryan, you must lift. Ryan's walking around in this sleeveless shirt, showing off his muscles.
Even when it's like 30 degrees in the gym.
That's right. He's like, God damn it, I'm showing off my triceps.
Why am I here to do biceps if I'm not?
That's right. All right. I know the girls are going down for the nap, and we don't want to take too much of your time.
No, fine. I'm down in the garage. I'll be napping and stuff.
Right. Your time is precious. Welcome back to 5x3 Radio. We are here today with Ryan Hirschman, who is a up-and-coming coach, if I can say that, in Virginia. Ryan, we've known Ryan for, oh my God, we met you 2015, or was it before that?
Yeah, 2015, 2016, yeah.
So you came to one of our camps, I guess one of our workshops at our old place, our old gym. And we thought a good discussion today would be for Ryan and Rebecca to both talk about their experiences as strength interns, coaching interns. For Rebecca, coming from a personal training background into the world of strength and conditioning and becoming a strength coach. And with Ryan, as a lifter in his own, and then his transition into the coaching world. So, who wants to go first?
Yeah, actually, I want Ryan to go first. Okay. Not just because I don't like talking,
right?
Oh boy!
but also, it's crazy that I'm doing this podcast.
So,
I don't like to talk, but actually, what I'm interested in. Right, Ryan, what I'm interested in knowing is what was your lifting background? How did you get started with lifting in the first place anyway? Because I've sort of talked about that in relation to me, and I sort of sidestepped into it, but you maybe had been lifting, working with barbells or something like that for a longer period of time. I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah. So, it all started in 1988 when I was born. So I'm a young whippersnapper.
Wait a minute.
When I was
little baby.
So,
I was in high school.
Yeah, a little baby.
One of those things, exactly. But my dad played college basketball, and he was very athletic, and he had one of those old school universal gyms with like the flat bench press that was all machine based and had like the pec deck, and we had some dumbbells lying around. So as soon as I kind of got into 8th grade high school, kind of started messing around with the weights and stuff, and never was really serious about it because I played sports year round. And at that time, and I don't know how it is today, when you were playing sports on the high school team, you didn't really go into the weight room unless you're on the football or wrestling team. That was just kind of the stigma there. So then just kind of casually did that, and then went to college. Same kind of thing. I didn't really play on sports teams in college, but did intramurals and casually lifted here and there. Started to kind of get into some barbells, but still focused on just doing curls and seated presses and whole row workouts, things like that. And then after that, I graduated college, and then fast forward about a year, was starting to look into joining the military. So around this time, my friend and I were like, all right, let's get serious. Let's do this, starting strength thing. He introduced me to that whole thing.
What's the year?
Oh, this would be 2011-ish, I guess. I graduated 2010 from college, so about a year after that, yeah. So, and I was thought it was the typical target market. So this whole time in high school and college, I was 6'4", 170, 180-ish body.
Wow.
So I was the underweight, young man who needed the GOMAD. So we did starting strength. He had the second edition book, the yellow book. And, I did the GOMAD for about 3 or 4 months. I went from basically 185 to 225 in a 3 to 6 month period. My lifts were so-so. We kind of did it on our own. We didn't really have any professional coaching at that point because it wasn't as prevalent as it is now, especially with the online community.
Right.
And we just, read the book once and we're like, oh, well, we know what we're doing. We know how to squat and grind through things and program appropriately. And, we didn't have microplates and any of that other stuff. So, I was squatting maybe like 185 and I was like, this is the hardest thing ever. There's no way I could get to 225 or whatever it is. So then, joined the military and ended up losing like 30 pounds in about a month because all I do in basic training is run. So I've gone up in weight, down in weight quite a bit. And then ever since I got out of the military, I really started getting into lifting on my own. And so I got out and moved back to this area right around like the end of 2014. And then I guess a year or two after that, that's kind of when I found out about 5x3 and went up to the camp and actually got some, professional coaching and some true guidance. And I was like, wow, so I've pretty much been doing this whole thing wrong on my own for the past, 4 or 5 years, but I wasn't like super serious about it. So then I kind of did another like true kind of LP, worked my weights up. And then I was like, wow, this is great. Like, I've also had a passion for helping others and coaching and things like that. As I've kind of gone through it as a lifter, I was like, wow, it'd be cool to, get into coaching and help other people. Because like I realized that it basically changed my life and my physical well-being. Growing up in body weight, going down in body weight, actually like mentally pushing through things that I didn't think I could ever do before. And like day one, I'm like, wow, squatting 315 is like, oh my God, like the first time you do 3 plates is like mind blowing. And you like never think you're going to do that much. And now, 5-10 years later, it's like, yeah, it's like an easy warm up. So those kinds of things are just like awesome as a lifter. And then when you start coaching people, you can kind of empathize with the struggles that they had when they first started out. And it's a long-term, lifelong process.
So when did you start thinking more seriously about wanting to coach? So you started to get more serious about your training, obviously, through into the military, and then after the military, after you came back and started training and getting a little bit more serious, getting some coaching and coming up and seeing us. When did the getting serious about wanting to coach come into play? Were you starting to work with some of your friends, like people that you know, just off and on?
Yeah. I think that's part of it. I was also, unfortunately, at the time training at a Gold's Gym. So I just saw a lot of the, common stuff that goes on in these big commercial gyms and the trainers there and the lifters there and what they were doing. And, of course, like everybody else, you want to just walk up to strangers and be like, hey, you're not squatting a dip there, buddy. And, you should, adjust your grip on your bench press. It might work out. And obviously that's like a fool's errand, as we all know. But then I was like, sometimes you just, talk to people and they see you lifting and they actually ask you for help, because once you're the only person in the gym, like squatting 3 plates like it's cake and deadlifting well over 400 pounds, like those aren't great numbers, but at these types of gyms, like you are literally the strongest person in there. And then people see you and they're like, oh, wow, like what program are you on? Or like, how did you learn to lift or whatever? And then you actually give them like some super helpful information from their perspective. And like, oh, this is cool. Like, I actually have learned as a lifter and I'm helping other people. Like, I wonder if I can kind of pursue this and make it more something I do more frequently or make it a full-time thing at some point down the road. And I think at that point, I was like, all right, what's the first step? Like, let me sign up for a full seminar with Starting Strength. And I think that was kind of right around the time that afterwards that we started talking about me turning up 5x3
right
seminars.
It's interesting. Listening to you talk about, I think it's the fact that you got so serious with your training, and I see this and saw this with you, Rebecca, and I see this with Gretchen. Now at the gym, she's coaching. She can coach people as well. But she started out as just a client, but what is it about this training that makes you, it's interesting. Like, I guess the more consistent you are and the more invested you have, the more invested you have in other people, and helping other people. And I think that's what I'm seeing. That's what I saw in you, Rebecca. And that's what I see in Gretchen and Ryan, same thing. So it's the more invested you have in yourself, the more you start to see other people And because you've spent so much time on your own training, kind of wanting to give to other people what you've learned.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have,
not everybody comes to that,
yeah. It's like you have, a great life answer or, some life hack that you wanted to share with everybody. It really, this type of thing can benefit. Yeah, exactly. And I used to be one of those people and, Emily, you've seen me kind of grow. You have that interesting viewpoint where you've seen me grow like as a lifter and as a coach. So that's kind of cool. And, we talked about how my training used to like be the end all and be all. Like if I would fail a rep, I would be like, I'm so embarrassed. Like I don't even want to come up to Baltimore anymore. Like you shouldn't even let me coach anybody because I missed like one rep on my heavy deadlift set. Like I always joke with Lauren. She's like, my wife's gonna leave my kids are gonna like hate me because I failed the deadlift rep. Like it was absurd.
And you don't
but it's so funny, Ryan, because I went through a phase like that too. I went because I would drive up to 5x3 regularly for the training, and I would get like so nervous driving up if it was like I was getting towards a ceiling and it was really heavy. And like for 30 minutes driving up, I'd be, oh my God, what if I miss a rep? What if I miss a rep? Like I'd get like all spooled up in my head. Like it was the only thing of importance.
Exactly. But that's beneficial, like as you become a coach, because then again, you can empathize with people and say, hey, it's okay if you miss. Like it happens to everybody. And, here's a few things, here's a few reasons why it may have happened. And you kind of get to the bottom of it as opposed to, just everybody fails, and then you just go to the next set, next rep, and you move on. It's
so interesting to hear you both talk about that, because I think in my case, because I never had that experience of like, I miss, that's the end of the world. I'm like, I miss. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I'm still learning what I was doing. So when I started this and then got into it as a coach, I was learning and making so many mistakes along the way until that by the time I met both of you, I made a whole bunch of errors and and bombed out so many times. I feel like I finally found my own place, my own sense of who I was as a coach. But I didn't have
how valuable has that been for you as a coach?
Oh yeah, I didn't have it originally, but it was never I never felt like missing a rep or failing a lift made me a bad coach. It was me giving information to people. It was more of like, am I giving the right information to that person? Am I coaching them the right way? Are they going to make the right, is their lift going to go up? Am I programming them right? It was never about me and what I could do.
Yeah, except you're talking about that from like a coaching perspective. Like so. Ryan and I think we got to that coaching mindset later. We're talking about initially as the lifter.
Right.
The lifter placing tremendous importance on not missing a rep. Which like when you have a client who is also similarly invested, when you have a lifter who has bought into the same mindset, which is easy to do, right? Then it's like I've been there. I know what that's like. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that feels like the end of the world, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially as like a junior coach up and coming, like you say, it's like, how can I coach this person if I just failed a rep or if I just,
But the thing is, you can. I think that's
exactly.
It's like, exactly. Rebecca and I have talked about, I think we've talked about this, that some of the best coaches are always the ones who have had to work the hardest.
Yeah. Like the mediocre.
That part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The ones who are natural athletes and never actually have to verbalize what they did to get their body to do the thing that they wanted it to do.
I remember watching, and this is not lifting related at all, but it was when I was the school director at a dance studio, and I had a young man come in to teach a ballet class, and it was during the summer, so my girls were of all backgrounds, right? So because they were all backgrounds, but they were in the camp together, you had to teach to their level. So you had to plan a class that was going to fit the beginner dancer as well as the advanced dancer, because the advanced dancer should be able to do anything, right? The simple the class, fine, no problem. For that young dancer, that class has to be really simple because that's all they know. They don't know much more. And I watched him, very experienced dancer, but not an experienced teacher, because the minute he walked in that classroom into this dance studio, he stood at the bar and he started to demonstrate this whole entire plie combination. And you could see the look on some of my dancers' faces. And my face went, well, I'm not hiring him. I mean, it was clear. It was immediate that he did not read the room carefully enough. He did not, and even when I said to him, there are beginner dancers here, like you have read the room, start small. Then once if it's simple, you can see exactly who's picking up and who's not, and then start to change as you need to. And he didn't do that because he was a professional. He knew what he was doing, but he wasn't a teacher. Because a teacher doesn't, a coach doesn't do that. You have to see what the person's doing first and then go from there. So
that sort of brings up something that came up when we were talking to Craig, which is that there's a lot, like other than Diego, like Emily, Craig, Brooks, Gretchen, myself, all have like a teaching background. Ryan, do you have like I'm just curious, like if you have any sort of teaching background or if you had experience in the military where you had to train people in like certain procedures or protocols or anything like that? Like
not formally, but I guess I've always been one of the more like senior ranking members in my circles and groups, just at my job and in the military. So
there's an authority figure.
I always like try to help other people when I can, but nothing formal.
Yeah, but I mean, like that just also is like a similar kind of approach, though. Like you're trying to help people along as opposed to coming into a room and demonstrating, this is how much I know.
Right.
Yeah,
all you little dancers catch up with me.
And exactly. You have to know your audience and things like that.
That's exactly what he did. And that's, and as a coach, you don't do that. I mean, you don't, in a sense, that's why we don't demonstrate, right? We're not going to demonstrate, but it's also not about what you can do. I mean, sure, we all want to do well in ourselves, but it's not about what you can do. It's what you can do for that person who's coming to work with you.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you instruct them? How do you get to have them buy into what you want them to do? And how do you encourage them, support them, tell them when they're doing it wrong? I mean, there's a lot that goes into coaching. So, Ryan talks about his background. Rebecca, I know obviously we spent time on the podcast talking about your background.
Yeah, we don't need to rehash that. That's old news.
So how do we want to go about, discussing how interning,
I guess, interning? I mean, like, I think Ryan and I maybe have had different interning experiences at 5x3 in part because of like our distance, like our home base. Right. So, like when I started doing the internship, you had a series of pretty regular interns up until that point. I think COVID has kind of disrupted that maybe a little bit, it seems like. But
I think I mean, Ryan came after you and Craig, not Craig Brooks, but Craig Campbell. And then Ryan,
and it was
then COVID hit.
Oh, so like at that point, it was like there were some clear expectations about my presence in the gym.
Right.
And so I was there one night a week, one week night, right? 1 weekday, and then Saturdays. And I could do that because I was up there lifting anyway. Typically I would have been up there to lift I was on like a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule, and I would lift during the daytime. So it was really just a matter of shifting my own lifting. You guys let me lift while I was there too, and kind of on the weekdays.
Right.
And then on the Saturdays, sometimes there would be people coming in for clinics or people coming in for, sessions or whatever. And then just like a lot of members there. A high volume of members on that day. So like, I don't know, Ryan, were you normally up there on a Saturday, or were you what was your experience in terms of actually being like physically present coaching at 5x3?
Yeah.
Because I think you were after me, so I wasn't there all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So given the fact that I'm a little farther away, they let me come up once a week. As much as I always tell her I'd like to come up every night and Saturdays, it's a little hard to do that with the schedule and kids and family. So I think for a while I was coming up Tuesday nights, and then I think we moved to Monday. More people seem to come up during the Monday, Wednesday, Friday split. So it's been a little bit better. So
and then you would come up Saturdays on like a weeknight, or
No, usually
No.
I don't come up on Saturdays. Yeah, every once in a while I'll come up for Saturday.
Mhm.
I think I've come up for just about every camp you guys have had
Yes.
on
Yeah.
Sundays.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. That's been huge. And that was good because with, it's interesting how it's kind of ebbed and flowed over the years. When you were interning with us, Rebecca, we had, and then even with Bob, like when we had
Yeah,
our first
Bobby
intern,
Antis
Bob,
before
yeah,
that. Yeah.
tons of clinics. I mean, I think because at that time, starting strength, 2014 was really starting to come alive. Like it was big. I mean, my email inbox was like flooded with emails. It just seemed to have like kind of like blown up overnight. So when Bob started with us, it was good because we had clinics almost every weekend because we offered that. And then same with you and Craig, it was still kind of it was that
Yeah.
same kind of, influx of people. And that was a huge part of helping you, I think, was the clinics, because
Yes.
we took somebody, and Ryan knows this too. We see this with in the camps. You take somebody from like the very beginning with their squat and take them all the way through, almost like the practical. Same thing with the press, same thing with the bench, and same thing with the deadlift. So, but with COVID, even just in general, Saturdays don't seem to be. It's slowed down a little bit, so we don't get the clinics constantly like we used to. We used to be like every single Saturday booked. Now it's maybe we'll be booked for 3 weeks and then we don't have anything for a while. Like January was good. We had three people booked in a row, but now it's been kind of quiet. So who knows if it's gonna pop up again once COVID kind of calms down. But that was the reasoning behind the Saturday, was the clinics.
Yeah.
And
those are really helpful, like just from an interning
Absolutely.
perspective. Like it's nice to work with the members, and it's in a way, because I was also lifting there, they were like my fellow lifters, they were like my lift buddies. So it's a different feeling when you're trying to, like, oh, in theory, you're the intern, go help the members with their lifts. It sort of feels like, okay, well, this is my lift buddy and I'm going to go correct their form or point something out that, they're receptive to, but didn't really ask for. So
right.
It was like a different dynamic, as opposed to when you had somebody come up for a clinic or a camp or something like that. They were starting from, here's the teaching progression. I'm gonna show you the bottom position of a squat, as opposed to somebody who had already been through that teaching process. And maybe you're just gonna, you're a little bit in your toes on that deadlift. Find your midfoot, work a little bit better for you. That's why that one was so hard, or that sort of thing. But to actually go through that whole teaching process and on a real regular basis was really helpful.
Yeah. And I think
that's why the camps are so huge too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get a mixture of people coming in out of town for the first time, and then some people that are maybe members or have just been lifting for a while. And the part that helped me, the whole thing was super helpful, but the great part was always the Q&A portion at the end, because you get questions from across the gamut of, experienced lifters trying to program for like, an elite level, powerlifting meet or something. And then somebody who just started last week and is just unsure of what equipment to use, or what their shoes, those types of things. So that portion is always helpful.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly why the Saturday was such a big deal. In Ryan's case, he's in Virginia, so we don't want to, we don't want to take him too far, away from his family. If we could have him up there every day, we should. We could. we would.
I think once the kids are a little older,
but I feel like right now, and we and Diego have talked about this, that our intern program is very organic. I mean, I think the only stipulation was like we wanted once during the week and then a Saturday, and that was pretty much it.
You told me twice during the week.
I don't think you did twice during the week. No, I don't think you did twice during the week. You decided.
I think what you did. I think I was up there during the daytime. I think what you guys said was come at night. Make sure one of those is a nighttime. There's more people or different people.
I think Bob was like once a week. We don't want. It's a we're asking people. People are coming to work with us, but we want them to make the most out of the time they're here. So Saturday was obviously a good day, and then during the week you get to see the members. But also we do the one-on-one sessions. So Ryan's had a chance to work one-on-one, with like Craig when Craig's doing a session, or maybe even Diego, but usually it's Craig lately. to get somebody started. And you've started people, and you've come in on their second session and worked with people. But I like the fact that, the Monday crew knows you. So when Ryan walks around the room coaching people, like, everybody responds to him. I mean, it's either me, Craig, Ryan, doesn't matter who it is. And any of the newer people, it's great, because then you get to, they're still fresh. They haven't gotten, they've only been there maybe 2-3 weeks. So it seems like that Saturday isn't necessarily needed in your case. I mean, because you've done so many of the camps and the workshops, and then you're up there on that Monday night, really getting to know everybody. So
and that just takes time, because for a while, I think, like with COVID and not coming up for a couple of weeks, and then just only being there for a couple of months, but now it's consistently that, I'm up there Mondays, and like, when people come in, they see me lifting as well. So it's not like I'm just some random person off the street. Right. Like, do you even lift, bro? Like, why are you coaching this kind of thing? So, and that just takes time to build that, community and that trust. So it's always nice that they're, it's usually the same people. And like you said,
and I think, right. Yeah. The part of, I don't know how other people work with their interns, but I mean, if you notice, we didn't spend a lot of time sitting down with you and going through all the, the exam information. That was it was the practical work, because the practical work is the most important part. Everything else you can study for, you can read books, you can talk to people, but the practical portion is just the most important part of, like, working with somebody over and over and over again, and figuring out how to streamline, your instruction and your coaching, and be able to, catch somebody immediately when they're, and see something that they're doing, and be able to correct them, in real time. So, and then just the whole part of practicing, setting the person up, getting them started, so that you can get them started right away. So it's 5 minutes and bam, they're under the bar.
Yeah. And I think, Diego can attest to this. We've had quite extensive conversations on quite a few topics. So, we'll consider that the academic preparation.
Exactly. There's, and again, it's just, that's how we've always run it. Rebecca dealt the same way. She'd had a question, she went to Diego, and they would have a discussion.
Yeah.
There wasn't
I should have done that more. Yeah. Hey, Ryan, so what's your background? Like your occupation?
My day job, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm in cybersecurity as a cyber threat analyst. So been pretty busy the past couple of months. And before that, I was in the military intelligence as a foreign language analyst. So been kind of in the defense industry, intelligence community for, close to 10 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
Been doing that.
Yeah, I was just curious, because like a lot of times it seems like the people that are drawn towards the starting strength coaching method often have some sort of an engineering background, but in your case, like an analytical field, which is not where I'm coming from.
Me either.
So yeah,
there is a lot of analytical thinking as a coach, as you know, and that's why I like it so much. The in-person coaching, especially, you get instant feedback on your cues as a coach. Not to get into a whole tangent about that, but I love that, because in school you always like taking a test and you're like, man, I hope I get my results like as soon as I finish the test, instead of having to wait for a week or two. It's like, if I give a cue right now, I get instant feedback, as opposed to online coaching or whatever, you give a cue and then maybe next session we'll implement it. But so it's great from that perspective.
So Ryan, you were involved with the Barbell Logic, as we mentioned earlier, the Barbell Logic online coaching academy. Explain how you got involved with that. So you've been coming up and interning and coaching with us, and then you've also been coaching a few people on your own outside of the gym. I guess at your own gym, or do you go somewhere else to coach your friends? Or is
no, they just come over here. I have really just the neighbors come over here.
Gotcha.
And it's like super casual. They have the dumbbells that they brought over, and they just leave them here. So it's the same kind of thing.
So what drew you to now kind of taking it to the next level of doing the academy with Barbell Logic?
Yeah,
That might be interesting. Something somebody might be like, oh, well, I could work at a gym, but what else is out there for me that I could do, online?
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. And I guess things have been changing so much in the past couple of years, just the nature of the business and everything. But I guess I was kind of at that point where I was like, all right, I've been interning for a little while, and I still think I need some formal academic preparation, just to go over in kind of like a group, like classroom setting, or something more formal, going over the anatomy and some specific programming goals, and kind of just honing in my skills for online coaching, because that seems to be a big part of where the industry is headed, if not it's not there already. So there's obviously the two big ones out there, the Barbell Logic and the Starting Strength one. And
Okay, wait, let me add the other one though. There's the Progressive Strength and Rehab, which is where I did my online with Rory Alter.
And I'm sure there's others. These are just the two that I knew about, and I think what was that, PRS? Yeah. So I've actually attended a few of her free seminars, so they're great too. So just the two that I was looking at, and it just worked out that the Barbell Logic had a more convenient time frame for me, and just went with that one. And I guess I was kind of under the assumption where, okay, I'm at the point now where maybe I should start really trying to make coaching a more full-time career. So what's the best way to go about this? And our conversations have gone back and forth, Emily. I've talked to Diego a few times about, like, is it even worth getting certified these days?
Right.
And so I guess still wanted to go through the course to get some good training. And now that the course is over, I definitely learned a lot. But we're still kind of back to that same question, like, okay, because when you graduate that course, you don't become certified. You just have the option to eventually go through their certification process. And I guess this online course is a prerequisite, so you kind of have a step above. And I think you can still become a biologic coach if you're not certified with them, and eventually get certified, just depending on the level of your coaching experience. But there's a limited amount of entries.
Right. So the professional barbell coaching certification, that's the one that they offer.
That is the one they offer, correct? Yeah.
Is that, if you decide to get that certification, is that an online only certification, or is that is it both? I mean,
I believe it's both, yes, because they still, from my understanding, they still do a in-person test, an in-person type of situation where you have to coach somebody in person, and they evaluate you on your coaching skills. But their primary market is obviously online coaching.
But you could get the certification for barbell professional coaching, right? The PBC, is that what they?
Yeah, PBC.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you could, have that certification.
So that's like the Barbell Logic equivalent of an SSC.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I'll let you lead the way with the details as far as the SSC credential and our discussions about that. And that was something that from day one I was like, I have to have this certification in order to be able to coach people. And obviously that's not true. And it kind of goes back to that mindset of like, I have to have this specific X to do Y.
Right.
And that's
have to get all my lifts, can't miss a rep.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just the personality type or whatever. Some just, weird information that you get and you think you have to do things a certain way. And there was kind of an aha moment for me. There's actually another local gym here around the corner that I was, trying to get some coaching experience at. And then, kind of laid out. I go there a couple of times a week, and I go up to 5x3 a couple of times a week just because this one's closer, just a little more convenient. And I went there and I was like, yes, I'm interning at a starting strength gym and that credential, and like everybody knew what it was.
Right.
Yeah, which I've had that experience too.
And there's nothing against that, but coming from the background, it was like, oh, this is like the golden ticket kind of thing, greatest thing since sliced bread. And then you go to a fitness center, gym, and they don't know what it is, and kind of flattens your flattens your balloon a little bit and crushes your dreams. And just okay, well, they still let me coach there for a little bit. You guys obviously still let me coach, and I still coach people on my own, like you said. And this even goes to a recent call I had with the academy teacher. And he said, you're not certified, but if you were certified, would you change how you coach people? And I said, well, no, I always give it my best effort, regardless if I'm certified or not. And he said, okay, so what separates you from somebody who has this certification? I guess they're a little bit more experienced and everything. And but the people that I'm coaching now are enjoying the services, they're making progress and everything, they're happy. So I guess it's kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg type of thing. So that's kind of my coaching career. So kind of a little bit of a crossroads, but
I think in terms of certification, like the practical aspect of it, right? There's many ways to skin a cat, whatever sort of certification, but generally you need some type of certification in order to get like liability insurance.
right.
And so I started out with that initially with a personal training certification, and SSC works to list with a lot of the insurance companies, but depending on what gym you're trying to work in, and SSC, like you're saying, people didn't know what that was. That's been my experience at one of the gyms where I work too. Nobody's heard of Starting Strength. So the fact that I've got a certification through ACE, American Council on Exercise, holds more weight there than the SSC. And like I had that conversation with Rory where I was like, I need to, re-up my ACE and I want to make sure I get credits for this towards ACE. She's like, you don't need that. You just list your SSC, which is true in terms of getting your liability insurance, but it sort of depends on what type of gym you're trying to work at, if it's not your own gym or if you're not coaching people out of your garage. So there's like some other considerations around what certification to get. And it kind of like, like you and I both kind of came into Starting Strength like it was the gold standard and there was no other way. And then you start to realize, well, there's other inroads to coaching or getting certified or credentialed to do this. And it maybe just kind of comes down to what's your current situation and how can you satisfy the requirements or jump through the necessary hoops with as little time, energy, and money as possible on your part. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of, goes to the next point. Like you said, you're trying to get a couple different certifications. And I think at this point, like, it's not as if I was going through this course and continuing my internship of a 5x3 with the expectation of, okay, in 6 months, I'm going to become a full-time coach and open my gym and all this other stuff, because I still have a full-time job. And I don't really like the people that I work with in person. I don't charge them much at all. They kind of just throw me a couple bucks here and there. One of my online guys is a very good friend of mine that I go for free, and the other guy is an old high school friend that I don't really charge him either. So it's not as if I need to really like get a certification in order to become like a true professional coach in their eyes, or I'm not trying to transition to leave my day job to become a coach at a different place. So. That's kind of why it's almost a crossroads. It's like, well, I would love to do this full time, but right now it's almost like I just do it because I enjoy it so much, and I just get so much fulfillment out of coaching other people. And I know that it's not my full time job, so it kind of takes that whole stressor away from it. This is obviously a tough industry, as you saw with all the gyms closing and things like that, with COVID especially, and this industry is always tough to be in. It's always a risky business opening a gym or. Trying to coach full time at another location if you're in control over the facility and everything. So I'm kind of just at the point where I consider myself a professional coach, but I'm not really a full time certified professional coach. I'm still going to give people my best effort over the top, above and beyond, and whether I charge them $100 an hour or $10 for 2 hours. It doesn't really matter at this point.
I think it's the more, it's the more experience you get with the different, more and more people. That's really that's the, I mean,
That's the truth.
what you, that's what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what you need. I mean,
Yeah.
over 10 years, I mean, I was just thinking, it's like, wow, so it'll be 10 years this June that we've been open. And the first 2 years I had nobody. I mean, it was hard to coach people, and I was coaching a lot of people before that, trying to kind of figure out what I was doing. And then the people who would come, you give it your all. Like, I mean, how much I throw myself into people, and still do, of course. But the more people you see, the more people you work with, the better you get, the easier it becomes for you to start to, see where you want to go with this, who you want to coach, where your priorities are, and where you don't want to also just do. What am I trying to say? I've dealt with a lot of people, and there are many people that I've dealt with I don't want to deal with. You just really who needed something else, and you start to learn that too, and people's priorities change, and it's not something against you if they decided they wanted to say do this anymore. And I think I had to learn that too, when people don't want to do this.
But it's also like where
you have done anything. It's just, their priorities are different perhaps.
Yeah. But also like where you're starting out from, like you're describing a situation in your first couple of years in the gym where you're kind of like trying very hard to get people to join. What do you want? I can do that. What do you want? And that's sort of how I started with the personal training.
Right.
What do you want? I can do that. And a lot of people who are looking for a personal trainer as opposed to a barbell coach just want somebody basically to like, good job, keep going, right? Like one of the gyms where I work, one of the most popular trainers is a guy who's like rah, makes everybody, and nothing against that. Like people feel great after they've hung out with him, but that's a lot of what it is. It's just like, I get to go hang out with him. And I was like, okay, so, you get to a point where you start to realize, like you're saying, Emily, like, okay, what you're looking for is not the service that I provide. All training is not the same. And if what you're looking for is, because like it's a commercial gym that I'm in around here, Ryan. And so like I had somebody was looking for a trainer and wanted to work on the machines. And I was like, I can recommend another trainer that would be good for you for that. If you want to do that, I'm not telling you yes or no. That's not my preference. I don't, and that's not how I coach.
Yeah, no, it's one of those marginalized things. Like there's still like we have a distinct separation between what a coach is and what a trainer is. But a typical gym member off the street doesn't recognize the difference. So
try
to do your best to separate. Like, here's what I do. Here's what you want. They don't mesh.
And like with experience and a general population getting to the point where you're able to interpret what they're saying and translate it back to them and be like, that's not what this is. This is not what I do.
and it's crazy that you say that. It goes back to the evolution of me as a coach. And like I said, I was on the bandwagon where I'm only coaching you, like you only low bar squat, bench press, deadlift, and press. That's it. Like no variation. If you can't do it, I'm not even coaching you because that's a waste of my time, because I'm trying to coach to get this certification, and that's the only things that really matter. And that that just crushes you as a coach. Like, you can't do that because we know most people have variations in their abilities and things like that. But now the one guy I work with, he has some knee issues, and I talked about this. Like, we tried front squat, the safety squat bar, with box squatting, Zercher squats and everything. And really the only thing that he can do comfortably is the RDL, which is fine. So that's his hinge movement. And me 5 years ago, I've been like, I'm not even gonna waste my time. Like I'm coaching people in the squat, but he doesn't even squat with us. But that's his version of the squat. So he can still develop, and he's still getting good leg and back work out of that and progressing over time. And I'm getting good at coaching that movement, which can only help my general toolbox of coaching. Portions of that movement do come up quite a bit, and it's a good variation that a lot of people program after the first couple of months anyways. So it's helping us both. But me as a much more junior coach is like, got to squat here. You got, and it has to be a low bar squat with your thumbs over the top of the bar and all this other stuff. So, it's interesting when you start out and how narrow your vision is, and you're like, okay, I'm only doing these things within here, but then as you grow, okay, hey, we don't have to bench press. Let's try some push-ups or, some dumbbells and things like that.
Right.
But I mean, like, I think you're describing something that Emily and I talk about a lot of times, which is meeting a lifter where they are.
That's right.
And making a program that helps to meet the lifter's needs instead of telling the lifter that they need to adjust to a set program. Yeah. I mean, yes, you're not doing the program, but if you're okay with the premise that you're not going to get the as strong as possible, as quickly as possible, and maybe there's some caveats to that, as quickly as possible for you might include something different than as quickly as possible for somebody who doesn't need modifications and who doesn't have to give up training sessions because they have work or kids or whatever, or who doesn't have interests in mountain biking or running or something, that instead of squashing those things that a person
I think you only learn that
doing or that gives life to their life. You figure out how to incorporate those things and get them as strong as possible, as quickly as possible, given who they are in terms of their body and their interests, their activities.
Yeah. And I think you learn that when you spend time at a gym where there's coaching going on and not just somebody telling somebody what machine to get on next.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of the difference between the trainers I would always see at the commercial gyms like years ago when I was, just there as a member, on their cell phone as the person's doing reps next to them. I mean, it was real. It wasn't just a joke that it was real. I witnessed it multiple times. And you don't get to learn how to work with people in that kind of environment. And nobody knowing what a professional barbell coach is, the PBC or the starting strength coach, background, they know ACE, they know, all the other different certifications out there. Those are easy to get. You have to read the book. You've got to study to take the test, but that's all it is. I mean,
like the other certifications,
any of those trainers can go and get a weekend certification. And they're the ones on their cell phones coaching that client on the machine. Whereas, what we were talking about, both of you are talking about, is really like learning. It comes down to the practical portion and learning. And how do I help this person who can't squat, or they started squatting, but now something's going on? You don't just dismiss them. You don't just throw them onto a machine or tell them you can't work with them. You figure out how to work with them, because those are our bodies. I mean, our bodies are designed to move. And if they're not moving in the right way, we need to learn how to help that person move in a better way that maybe can then help that issue. And then we can start to move in this way again. Or perhaps that movement is not good for them, and we have to learn to come up with something else. That's what coaching is. It's not just counting reps and, moving person from machine to machine, or even just doing silly stuff, standing on one leg on a Bosu ball kind of crap, and, shooting the breeze with people. I mean, we shoot the breeze with people, but at the same time, they're learning how to move well. They're getting benefit from the program that we're delivering. We're giving them feedback. They're thinking about the feedback. They're not just listening to us. They're listening to us and applying that to what they're doing, because they've come to us for a specific purpose. They trust us. They don't ask us what our letters are after our name. I don't put my letters after my name.
No, but they do ask us relevant questions for their situation, and they expect us to give them a good answer.
And we can give them those answers because we have taken the necessary steps to learn more. And that's kind of the difference when you're interning at a place where there is actual physical coaching and listening and talking and working happening. Why we do what we do. And our clients can, they ask great questions. Someone asks a question, I say to them, keep asking me questions. I would need to be able to explain to you why. The why. So any question is a good question. There is no wrong question. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to ask somebody.
Yeah, and it's the same, whatever the old saying is, if you can't explain it to a third grader, then you can't explain it. It goes back to knowing your audience. A brand new person that comes into your gym for the first time asking a question, you would give them a different answer than if Diego asked you the question, right. or Craig or one of the other coaches, or a more member that's been there for a couple of years. So that just also kind of reinforces and hones your feedback loop and communication style as a coach.
But I think it comes down to the practical. You work with people. You can't walk into a commercial gym and walk up to anybody and give them feedback. and coach them. They're going to look at you like you got 5 hits because they're just
Yeah.
there on their machine, watching their TV. Why are you trying to bother me?
Yeah.
And that's not what your goal is to help people, is to get to know somebody and get to know their, the reason for why they're there and what they want to help with. And, the trainer at a gym is just looking for another person to add to their checklist of the standards that they have to make for that month, right? The number of people that they have to train for that month.
I don't have a quota.
Some people don't have a quota. Some people, the Merit had a quota. I used to see that whiteboard in their office. There was a quota for who they had.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, they sometimes try and do that, but it's not like, it's like they.
Yeah. And then they have trainers who go above and beyond. Like you started off as one and you decided that wasn't enough for you. You wanted to do more. You wanted to be able to just for your own benefit, and then also to help more people and help different people in the way that you would like to help them. And, some people can just stay where they are and be content. And then others want to do a little bit more, a little bit extra. But that takes extra.
Yeah.
Takes extra. Yeah.
And now that I've kind of been, coaching a little bit more, I once in a while get these questions, like just kind of off the wall, like I want to, squat a certain weight, or I want to, bench a certain weight. And it's interesting, like the response that I give today is like completely different than what it would have been a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't want to know what you have to do right now, because it's like I have to ask you like 10 questions to see where you are, like what type of program you're doing, how's your form, all these other things. So that's always a fun thing to do, figuring out where people are in their current program when they come to you for that kind of one-time help and trying to give them the best feedback.
Now, is that you're thinking differently? Is that as a result of the coaching that you've done, like on your own and with us, and just over time seeing different people and realizing, oh, this is what coaching really?
Oh yeah. It's an advocate of everything. It's my own lifting, the programming that you guys have given me over the years for my specific goals at those time frames, and then seeing the other people up at the gym, the other members, what their programs are like, and then being at the camps and hearing the questions and answers for the because that's always what the Q&A portion is almost always about programming.
Right.
And then the few people that I've worked with on my own and going through the academy and just reading the books. Yeah, so it's a combination of everything.
Rebecca, what about you? Because I don't know if we talked about that. Like, did your thinking change from like when you were just starting lifting or when you were becoming a personal trainer to then becoming more invested in this, the strength coaching?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess initially, I feel like we talked about this, but Ryan, you weren't here for that. But just in terms of getting a certification to be a personal trainer, and then being in a gym environment and seeing what other trainers were doing and trying to figure out, how do I fit into this picture? Like, how am I different or the same? Or what do I offer? Like, why would a client want to come to me for training versus any of these other 3 or 4 trainers? What do I offer that's different? And I think the barbell training for me had the clearest answers to like why a person would do personal training, like what training was, as opposed to just, I want someone to keep me company while I exercise. Like, you might have, you see this a lot of places where people like, they know they need to exercise or be physically active or get stronger or, fill in the blank, however they fill it in. And they really just want to be disassociated from their body during that time. And they want somebody to cheerlead or entertain them or talk to them, or they want to stare at the television. So why aren't they doing that on their own? Why are they paying for, instead of just finding a lift buddy or a running buddy, why would you pay somebody else to be there? What do I offer? And the strength training approach was just, to me, the clearest, most logical explanation of why somebody would want to train with me, because I can get you stronger. Because there's so much of what a person if they're looking for just a general trainer,
Right.
so much of what they think they're looking for depends on their behaviors outside of the gym.
Yep.
And I can't guarantee that, in the other 23 hours out of the day, that they're going to eat, sleep, recover appropriately.
Right.
Right. But the bar will hold you accountable.
Sure.
Right. So if somebody doesn't sleep, overtrains, because they go do whatever, I can guarantee there's going to be extra weight on your bar next time, as you're going through the LP, versus, well, what can I guarantee if you're coming to me to get toned or to lose weight, right? Well, if you go home and you eat a pizza and drink a bottle of wine, I can't guarantee anything.
Right. Right.
But you could do that on a Friday night and still come back in on Monday and add weight to your bar. So you've gotten stronger. So I was able to uphold my end of the bargain.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, somebody's coming to you, is like, hey, how do I, get my squat up to 315 or something? You're like, what's your schedule like, for example? Oh, well, these days BJJ is super popular. Well, I do BJJ 4 days a week. I work shift work, so I get about 4 hours of sleep every night. I got 3 kids at home, whatever the case is. That may take a little while.
Right. Yeah.
So those kinds of things, it's never a simple answer. And as a coach getting experience, you realize that it's not an answer, as opposed to just throw some weight on there, just put 315 on the bar and move it. That's as easy as it is.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to talk about this, because I didn't go through any of this, as a big, when I started doing this, it was just like, I guess I want to do it. I guess this kind of works for me. I think I want to do this for more people. But I think coming from the background of a teacher already, of a dance teacher, and then a school teacher.
You're already teaching movement.
I was already
a different kind of movement.
It was literally came down to, do I want to open a dance studio, or do I want to open a gym? Now I know that sounds like it sounds so dumb, it's so simple, but it was, do I want to work with kids or do I want to work with adults? And if I work with the children, I've got to deal with the parents. If I work with adults, I'm not dealing with parents. I think I'll work with the adults, because I don't want to deal with parents. But it was do I instruct ballet or do I instruct people under a bar? And I think over time, I started to realize that more and more, I knew what I was doing, because I was still instructing people. I just had different tool in my hand. I had a tool versus a pair of ballet slippers or a pair of toe shoes and a bar. It was just a different bar.
Different kind of bar.
Different kind of bar. Yeah. But I've learned, I definitely, as the coach, and Diego and I, as the owners of the gym, working with all of you, I've learned so much just for myself as, okay, what kind of coach do I want to be? What kind of mentor? What kind of boss, to the coaches that I do have, who I work with? We're all equal. I don't see there's nobody who is above, beneath. We're all equals. We all coach the same manner. And I love being able to tell that to my members. You're going to hear the same thing no matter who walks by you and gives you feedback. You're going to hear the same thing. You're not, because we're all trained in this manner. We've all gone through this. We've had the experience, and people like that. They like knowing that the people there, because at other gyms you have different trainers of different backgrounds and different beliefs and then you get all confused. Like you were saying, why would somebody come to you? You had to create a niche for yourself. There's no niche with us. It's the same niche. We're all there for the same purpose, and we all have the same. You created a niche. It's just a bigger niche. Yeah. It's a whole gym, right? But we've all bought into the same, the same idea, and it's great to have people, different, not the same background, but coming from different places. Like right now, we've got 2 guys who come up on Saturday, who've been coming up on Saturday, both coaches. One's in Virginia, in Manassas. And the other one he works at the Under Armour gym. His girlfriend trains with us. And they're both looking to get their certification in June. So they asked if they could come up and observe us coaching. I said, sure, my door's always open. I welcome people to come and learn from us. I like our gym. I love my clients. I like showing them off. I like talking about what that person's been working on and what that person's been working on, because they see so many different people. And, when they walk in, and I've been working with somebody for like months and months on their press, and they see it and they have some questions, I have to say to them, well, this is what they're working on. So you can't jump in and just coach them. You have to know their background, and I'm going to offer that to you. But they've been very respectful of that because they're professional. But to be able to kind of open my door and have people come in who I've just met and see and immerse themselves in it and say, this is a great place to be. And I want to be able to do this with my own, my own people is really nice. So I keep, and then talking about coaching with other coaches is always great to hear what they're doing. And I get to share what I might, maybe share something with them that they want to try with one of their members or, one of their clients. So it's a win-win. I mean, you get a place to practice what you like. I get people to continue to talk to and bounce ideas off of, and ask.
I think that's why the internship up there has been like super valuable. Because like you said, we all kind of try to strive to be on the same playing field. And there's been a couple of times up there when I was newer, and even, still recently, like if I see something and you kind of correct me or give a proper cue, but you actually explain to me like what you saw and what I saw. And you're like, I think what you saw was this, and this is why you say that. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. As opposed to just being like, yeah, you like, don't say that, or like, whatever. Because there are gyms like that, coaches that are trying to help other coaches that are very negative and aggressive when they, make mistakes or whatever. So that's been like, oh yeah, this is a great place to be, because they actually like want to show you what you did wrong and not just tell you that you're wrong. So I mean, Kim and Diego are obviously excellent teachers and instructors, and it's just been invaluable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, we all learn from each other. Like I said, I mean, I watch Craig coach, I watch Jay coach, they watch me coach. I mean, we learn from each other. We don't have team meetings. We don't have days where we get together. We talk during the time that we're there. We talk about I don't know, ideas or whatever it is, but there's a lot of discussion going on when all of the coaches are there always. But I'm always watching everybody. I'm watching my lifters. I'm watching my coaches. I'm thinking about myself when I train. I'm listening to myself when I give feedback. Sometimes I have to say to myself, "Oh, I could have said that better." None of us have the right answers all the time, but at least we all, we all have the same thought process. We're all,
Yeah, but then you have those moments where you give a cue and it's like works perfectly, and then we're all like, "Oh my god, did you guys see that?" Like, man, this is amazing.
It becomes everyone's new favorite cue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And then everybody starts using it. I mean, I thought Jay was brilliant with the paper in the armpit cue for the press. I use it all the time. And I tell people that's Jay's cue. I'm not taking that credit for that. That's Jay's cue.
And Rebecca, I don't know if you remember, but when we were at the seminar together up in Westminster, I still use that cue we did with the bench press. And you had like, if you're a female, you kind of, have them do this, and then, have them touch their chest for the touch point. I think I did that up at a 5x3 a while ago with some female clients. So
because that's a little bit of a sketchy situation.
Especially these days. So I still use that, and that's great. So
Gretchen was coaching yesterday 2 young boys who had come up the week before, 2 16-year-old twins, and she had done a kettlebell session with them, and they've also been doing barbell work with their dad. So he said, they come up and do some barbell work with you and get some coaching? And I told him that Gretchen does that too. Since they'd already had a session with her for kettlebells, they were comfortable with her. And she was great. I mean, and she was real nervous. And Craig just said to her, just be loud, just take your teacher voice out, And so she did. And Diego was listening to her give some talk about the press, and he's laughing. He said, she's using my speech. Like, so, I mean, we all hear each other. I mean, we listen to Ryan, and Ryan sounds like Diego. And then, Elson, like, that's what Emily says. And there's something that Jay says. So, Diego's like, she's got my script. She's using my script. Because he has a script, and I have a script, and Craig has a script. We all have a script. It's the same script. Just a little bit different. So, and it works. And then everybody is happy because everybody's getting the same feedback. and there's no discrepancy. There's no issue. There's nothing. Somebody's not questioning something because, well, Craig told me this, and now Diego said this, and then Emily said this. No, we all say the same thing. Yeah. And now everybody else says the same thing. I mean, Rebecca, you were like, I think Diego said a lot of times, you sounded like him.
Oh, I remember there was one time you were like, oh my God, she sounds like Diego.
That's right.
From the other side of the gym, I pulled out my Diego voice.
You were even
little mini Diego.
You were dressed like him. You had your vest on, your jeans, and your boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and that's and that's how I'm sure I'm almost positive, like any of the other interns and any other of the the starting strength affiliates or whatnot, like up at Bo's gym, that they say the same thing Bo says, or anybody working with Susan. I mean, we all have our we all say something, but if it all comes down to making sure that we're giving the right feedback to people, to the members.
You say the right thing at the right time, and you don't just say something because you hear like you or Diego say it.
Right. I'm looking at the time. I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know the girls are they may not be napping.
I think they're napping now. Yes, okay. I got a few more minutes if there's any other questions.
Well, I'm wondering what if there's anything that you two want to add that we haven't talked about as far as like just coaching, interning. Where do you want to go from there, Ryan? I mean, are you looking to get that professional barbell certificate? I know you said you're kind of in limbo right now, but are you leaning more and more towards maybe going in that direction, or maybe waiting a little bit and just gaining more experience coaching before you go for that?
Yeah. I think. Well, I think part of that, my initial thought for a closing comment or anything extra was the conversations that I've had with you and Diego, just as far as like my own programming and just the other certifications out there. Back to that a little bit, it was super insightful to hear the rationale behind certain programming adjustments. And there's stuff out there like the Hatfield squats, for example. Like I didn't even know what a Hatfield squat was up until 2 weeks ago, and some of the other programming changes that you guys have made for me, and then just learning about, here's the group or the company that is doing that type of programming, like the RPE type scales and those types of things, the Renaissance periodization guys, the RPS team, like they all have very, very reasonable programs, and they're all very, very good coaches. And it's not just here's the only type of coach you can be with this certification. And that's kind of what I said. I just like want to be a 5x3 coach, and that's more than enough for me. And I think everybody else thinks highly of that as well. So as far as getting the PDC and any other certification, maybe not, but I mean, I just like how things are going, and if I can even get more involved up at 5x3, that'd be great. But as far as the other things, it's kind of I'm not ready to make a full-time transition to coaching. If I was, it would probably be a different conversation. But I think things are going really well, and as long as you'll have me, I'll keep coming up, kind of thing.
Well, so. Like I said, I mean, hopefully once COVID, once we all are vaccinated and things can just kind of get back to some type of a normalcy, the gym will grow again. I mean, definitely people are starting to come back. People are emailing me again. So yes, I mean, the more coaches I have who, coach who have the same train of thought as we do, as far as like when it comes to training our members, and that we're always open to doing different things, the better. And you're right there. I mean, you coach at our camps. I turn away. Just because I know I know what I'm going to see when I turn back, and that's a good feeling to have. That's a great feeling to have. I was like that when I hired my dance teachers at the dance studio. I wanted people I knew I could just let them do their thing. You know how to teach musical theater. I'm not going to tell you how to teach musical theater. You're the tap instructor. I'm not going to teach you to tell, unless I see something or hear something, or then I need to maybe step up. But at the gym, like I said, with the coaches, we've created such an environment where everybody who comes wants to kind of immerse themselves in that feeling, and their mindset has changed over time, because ours have. I mean, I think that's part of it. We're not the same coaches we were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not the same coach I was 2 years ago.
I think what you're touching on there is one of the things about like the internship, or even just in general, 5x3, that is kind of special. Like we've talked before about a community and having like a group of lifters who are all like on the same page. Like you're not the solo person in the Gold's gym. Oh my God, you're going to break your back squatting like that. Chest to the wall. You're supposed to stare at the ceiling. What's wrong with you? Like you're not constantly having that battle. So there's like this nice community, but you're also describing the situation where between the coaches, we learn from each other. We find cues that other people use that are effective with one client. Let's try it with this next one. We incorporate these things into our own coaching. So there's like this continuing evolution and education that happens, not just for the maybe for the lifters, but also for the coaches.
Yeah.
And so the coach that any of us was 5 years ago is not the same, and in large part that's because of this interplay between all of us, like what we're learning in different settings, and bring that back together to the group, and kind of benefit from each other's experiences.
Yeah, and it should be that way. It should be that way. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be the same coach 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. I want to have evolved from them. I mean, we're already evolving our program. Diego's already thinking about how do we get, when people start on the program, here's what I'd like to do with them now. And we've changed. That happened after lockdown. After we came back, we started thinking about a number of things of how to change people's program, how to make it better, how to do this first. I mean, and it's great because we're experimenting. And guess what?
You're doing a reasonable experimentation.
Progress is happening. One thing I definitely want to say, talking about, just having a variety of coaches. I mean, Ryan is 6'4", 6'5", Ryan.
Yeah, 6'4".
6'4". So we have a lot of tall lifters at our gym. We're getting more and more. And to have a coach of Ryan's height and Ryan's stature be able to be there on a day when one of my other, taller lifters is there, I can just pull Ryan and go, Ryan, I want, Michael's dealing with this right now with his press or squat. Can you give him some feedback? Because I can give him the feedback, but coming from a coach who also has the same height and build, let's say, he has much more empathy, for what that person might be going through, or how to maybe adjust their grip a little bit, adjust their stance, give them some feedback that he's had to work on, because I can give it, but it's sometimes I want to have somebody else to also give some feedback. And it was helpful. I mean, it was helpful because he's listening to me, who's 5'7" and not shaped like him at all. And Ikenna, with his long arms, figuring out his grip, same thing. So it's good to be able to point out to different people, but have coaches of different backgrounds and who are there to complement all the work, all the other coaching that we do, because it just makes the experience better for that member too. And then you get to really you have a niche. You're a tall lifter. You can, I can help anybody, but sometimes it's nice to be able to break out that person and go, you know what, he's built like you, go coach him, go explain to him some things that might work for him that he's been frustrated on. And I have been able to help because I don't know what it's like to be 6'4".
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. So it's been very helpful just to have, different, always different bodies in the gym, especially coaches, to help with the members, because it comes down to that. Always. Well, this has been good. I've enjoyed talking to you guys and listening to your experience, because it's definitely, like I said, I'm coming from it as I just opened the gym and started coaching.
You're coming to it from Diego's like, hey, we don't have anything going on this weekend. There's this thing called starting strength. Do you want to go do this seminar?
I've learned so much over the time of just coaching and, and working with people and then meeting people and then coaching more people, that it's definitely, our internship God, we don't promote it at all. People just kind of go, hey, can we come up and work with you? I'm like, sure. Yeah, why not? Come on in. My door's open. It's
Yeah.
always been that way. It's been very organic. And I don't know if I ever want to put something in, put it down on paper and have a whole list of like, this is our expectations. It's more of the more people who are out there spreading the word of strength training.
You're back to that
Yeah,
proselytizing.
seriously.
I know.
That's what it is sometimes. Though,
It's just getting in front of people and showing people what they can do, and customer service, and being there for people. I want to work with people. I want to work with people who want to help people.
Yeah.
I think there's a coach, Mike Boyle, who's in Boston. And I remember him saying his big thing was, I want people who are nice. I can mentor and coach anybody to become a good coach. I can't make you nice.
That's how it is in the business world too.
I want friendly people.
That's funny, Emily, because I have his certification too.
I want friendly people.
Actually, frankly, I've got that shirt on now because it's nice and soft. It's the certified functional strength coach.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and I remember him saying that. I thought to myself, that's exactly it. I want people I wanted my dance teachers who were nice. I wanted them to be nice and good to the students.
Yeah.
And I can help them become a better teacher. I can help them maybe, manage their class better, but I can't make you nice. I don't want unfriendly people. And there have been plenty of people who have asked to intern with us. And I'm like, no,
That's one of those things like in the business world, it's a little more aggressive, but it's like, I can teach you how to do X, but I can't teach you not to be a-hole, That kind of thing.
I mean, if you want that, that's great. Go somewhere else, because that's not who we are. And I mean, I've had a couple people over the years ask me, do you yell? Do you scream at your members? I said, why would I do that? I don't yell at people. I'm not a cheerleader either.
Yeah.
But I don't yell. I don't put people down. I never liked classes, like cycle classes, where the instructor screamed at you, move your ass, or, fucking bike faster. I didn't like people who were quiet either, who didn't say anything. But I didn't want somebody constantly yelling at me.
Thinking about it now, it's really interesting, the three of us, how we've gone through, because Emily, I think when you and Diego went through the seminar, you got certified at that weekend, like everybody did, correct? So there wasn't even like a
there was a test. We basically, they said, we'll send you the test in a couple days.
Okay.
Send it back to us in 2 weeks, and then we'll let you know if you passed or not. But basically, everybody got a test.
Everybody got tested.
It wasn't like now where you pass the platform and then you got the test.
Yeah.
Well, and also the test was a lot different. It was like, now it's like, how many pages can you produce? It's like you're writing a dissertation. Now it's oral.
It's not that anymore. Yeah. So that's
now it's oral. But like I was doing it when it was like write a dissertation. Crap. So I just had a lot of words that didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And that's like what a 10-year time frame, like versus what you and Diego went through, and then like what Rebecca went through, and then what like I would potentially go through if I went to get certified this year or something.
Exactly.
So
it's evolved. Evolved. So that's evolved, which is and it's good, and it should. I mean, I think that the most important aspect I feel of the whole process is the platform, is the practical part.
Absolutely.
Your exam, you should be able to express your knowledge and show that you understand the concepts. But if you can't get someone to squat within 10 minutes, no matter what kind of person they are. I mean, and it's about seeing people and instructing people, and you have to have done it over and over and over again.
But that's where being the intern for a number of months or years or whatever is helpful, because you want to get someone squatting, but what someone's squat may look like in reality may not be what it's sketched out to be in the textbook. So you've got to have enough, like you're talking, Ryan, about your RDLs and tools in your box. What can I get this person doing that I can then reasonably progress?
And that's the thing. I mean, at the seminars, you're often you get people who they've already done this. Like, they know what to do. I mean, most people now they've done, they're going to know how to squat. But what happens when you get that person and all of a sudden who comes to you and they're not the person at the seminar?
Yeah, head hip replacement.
Now what do you do?
Or whatever,
you better know what to do if you want to keep
That's the person I always get.
You better know. I see, I'll watch Diego or Craig or Jake grab a box and they're throwing a box at somebody, they're throwing a bumper here. They're putting, the foam rollers in front of them for the tubo. I mean, but it's just, you need to be able to meet people where they are and address their needs immediately. So yeah, you get a certain person on the weekend, then the next day you get that, 25-year-old who has never done anything athletic in his or her life. And just because they're 25 doesn't mean that they know how to move properly.
It's funny you mentioned that, Rebecca, about like interning and actually seeing the bodies and just seeing the repetitions after repetitions. Because I put this squat rack and everything in my garage. I guess it's maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, with the intention of like, oh man, once I have a gym in my garage, like there's going to be hordes of people outside lining up. This is like pre-COVID, before all the gym shut down anyways. Like, there's going to be hordes of people coming over. Like every weekend, I'm going to have like people coming over to lift, and people from work are going to come over. And that obviously never happened, because I was like telling everybody I work with, and I'm like, okay, get the new gym set up. Finally got my barbells in, the new rack and platform set up. Come on over. And like I was kind of using that as like, this is going to be great because I'll be able to use it myself to lift, and then I'll have people come over that I can coach and get all this experience.
Right.
And
that's what happened.
So.
Yeah, people are gonna they'll have to buy into what you want them to do. And it doesn't always work that way.
But once you get one or two people over here and you coach the heck out of them, they'll keep coming back. So.
That's it. All right. Well, we appreciate you being here, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
it's nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's definitely.
That's right.
I don't think I've seen you since the meet last December.
Yeah. That's actually true. I have seen you somewhat recently since COVID.
It's just been the meet.
Outside of that, it's always nice to see a familiar face.
We appreciate your time giving us on your Sunday. I know it's everybody's day off, so I'm going to say goodbye and head to the gym myself right now.
Oh, nice.
To go bench. Yes, it's my bench day.
Yeah, just so all your listeners know, I'm down in Alexandria, Virginia. So if anybody does want to stop by and get a workout in.
Do you have a contact where people can find you, Ryan?
Yeah, my sweet Instagram account, Hirschman Strength. So HIRSCHMAN_strength. There we go. That's on Instagram.
You can find Ryan down in Virginia.
My millions and millions of followers.
I follow you.
Hey, there's at least one.
Rebecca, as always.
I'm not on Instagram.
No,
I don't know why I'm on there yet.
So give us your information, Rebecca, so everybody has it. I always list it anyway at the end, but we always have to have this.
So Cornerstone Strength Maryland at gmail.com is my Gmail. And then
and then you can find
Maryland.com. Did I say that right?
Cornerstrengthmaryland.com.
It's too many words. But it's Cornerstone Strength Maryland, and then either .com or at Gmail.
There we go. Yeah. And then 5x3, you can find us on Instagram. And Emily at 5x3 is my contact information. We actually do have somebody, Rebecca, who wants to give us some feedback about our body image podcast.
Interesting.
One of my members. Yeah. So I told her to finish the podcast and then give me her feedback on it.
Is this part getting cut out?
No.
Oh, you're including this?
I'm going to include this. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So people know. So everybody.
I thought you were telling me what's coming up. No, you're telling everybody what's coming up.
Yeah. So everybody knows. Everyone knows. We actually did get some. So people want to share their thoughts about any of the podcasts we've done. This body image one goes back a few weeks, and but people are still catching up on the podcast. So please give us your feedback, share questions with us, or if you have something you want to say about anything that we've talked about, we'd like to discuss it. So we're going to hopefully be able to discuss that on the next one. And if you're still with us at the end of this podcast today, we are running our...
I think this is one of the ones we went off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, we are running in April 24th, 25th. Unfortunately, Ryan will have to miss this workshop that they're hosting because of his daughter's birthday that weekend. But we're hosting a barbell workshop. It's a 4-lift workshop. So we're doing a day and a half, April 24th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. focusing on lecture and the squat practical that day. And then on Sunday, the 25th, we're doing the press, deadlift, and bench with programming and Q&A with lots of lecture in between each of the lifts. So if you're interested in learning more about the lifts, not just getting under the bar, April 24th, 25th, barbell workshop, and you can go to our website, 5by3.com, and find the blog post there about that. So thanks again, everybody, and we will be back in a couple weeks with our next episode. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Rebecca.
Right.
Sweet.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to 5by3 Radio with Emily and Rebecca. If you like our show and want to know more about 5by3 training, please visit us at www.5, that's F-I-V-E, the letter X, the number 3.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about Rebecca, please visit her website, cornerstonestrengthmaryland.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.